Greetings, my Focus Factor family. Ever met someone who is like a triple package of inspiration in the world of business smarts, culinary genius, and the special Zara Hatke passion? That's the title of today's podcast. Laptop ho ya fry pan. Tadka Zara Hatke. Well, today is the day you get to know that someone. Hi, I'm Prem Sai, your clarity and focus coach, and I'm super happy to welcome you to the latest episode of Focus in Action podcast, where we celebrate remarkable achievers who have turned their struggle into success with clarity and focus. Let me introduce you all to Satyajit David, who is a pro at the administration and HR game and a complete culinary maestro at heart. But wait, that's just the beginning of the story. Think about your favorite chef stirred in in the creativity of a food blogger and sprinkle in the insights of a restaurant reviewer. That's the essence of Satyajit, all combined into one. From Gurgaon's Bachelor Days to global acclaim on Masterchef India Season 2, his evolution was remarkable. That's Satyajit all rolled into one. And here's the cool part. He's not just about the kitchen and office. He is an artist and a music lover who can turn simple ingredients into pure magic. Hailing from Paradip, Odisha, his journey started right beside his mom's cooking stove. But what happened next is the real deal. Even though Satyajit won awards like the Aditya Birla Award, cook-off competitions, and even took first place at Food Fista Indore 2017, his story is about much more than just these achievements. How someone can pack so much into their journey. I'm also amazed to know more of it. So, well, get ready because we are diving deep into Satyajit's story. It's like your favorite movie with a mix of flavors and life lessons. Welcome, Satyajit. How are you doing today?
Hi, Prem Sai. I'm good. Thanks. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. And it has been really a pleasure connecting with you after ages, I would say, almost 3 decades.
Absolutely. And to all my viewers, uh, we are being friends. Actually, we did our graduation together. And I think getting to again meet your own friend after such many years and to get to know the achievement that he has achieved in itself is mesmerizing. So Satyajit, शुरू से शुरू करते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
So tell us कैसे शुरू हुआ? Like, let's start from the beginning, growing up from your Paradip days. Who was Satyajit then?
Well, if I recall those days, a shy, timid guy who
Okay.
used to hide behind the screen if there are guests home. That was kind of Satyajit, you know, being myself in my own, happy in my own shell,
Okay.
busy with my things that excites me, like that of painting, sketching, gardening, music. Not a public person for sure.
Okay, so those were even those pointers which I missed in the introduction part. Sketching, painting, gardening. You never spoke about this. I didn't know about it. I think introduction में ये तो छूट गया.
Never mind, that was already a pretty long one that you did.
Yeah,
And at
of
the same
course.
time, I must compliment the other way around. I mean, if I knew Prem Sai, who used to be again a shy girl with less words, uh, often away from the groups and just busy with her classes and focus on studies. When I look at you over these 3 decades, you have really excelled way ahead. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, like, when I went through your profile, it was fantabulous. So I must compliment you for that as well.
Thank you so much. I think we all were in the same page, being shy, timid, and so the more we got our platform and the more we explored ourselves, we got our own space where we are thriving. today. Thank you so much again, Satyajit, for that compliment. So as you said, you were timid. So how were your days, those days? What was your relationship with food? I mean, कुछ ऐसा शुरू हुआ था? Did you even think of और ऐसा कुछ जहन में भी था those days? I'm talking about school, college days.
Okay, so बचपन की बात करें तो I have been a food lover right from from the memory that I have of my childhood. I used to love good food. If I am back from school and there's something I can sniff interesting, I used to straight away rush to the kitchen than going to my room. So that was my love for food from childhood. But about cooking, it was way apart from where I was. Okay, I didn't have a ABC of what cooking is all about. Nonetheless, mom has been a very good cook since I have my memories. So that was the blessing I have, I should say, that I was born in a family who actually, groomed me and nurtured me with all the best things that they could do. Uh, and one major inspiration which came was from my daddy while I was a young child. So he he was from the Indian naval background. So he used to inspire us. We are three brothers. We didn't have a sister. So and मतलब छोटा मोटा काम जो है, me being the youngest, बटन भी टाँकना है तो मेरे पास आ जाता था, and छोटे मोटी चीजें. And he always used to encourage. There's nothing, no he or she kind of a job if you have to survive in this world. And predominantly he told us one thing, that what if you are posted in a place where you have enough money, because those days no ATM, no Swiggy, no Zomato. Okay, I'm talking about our childhood days. So what if you have money in your pocket, but then you're posted in a place, there's no restaurant, there's nothing, and you do not know cooking, you don't have a family to support you. So how do you survive? Would you go begging to your neighbors or you starve? Both are practical options. So you need to have your survival skills. So better learn something basic. I'm not expecting you to cook something really,
Great.
but at least know the basics. So that is how it all began. And never knew it's going to go that long away as I look back. But then that was the initial first step, I would say, baby step. And that was daddy had been my inspiration.
Okay.
And
So
mom,
as you said that you are a food lover, so so in the sense of you were in love with eating some specific or any such specific affinity towards a particular item or particular recipe that you had. ऐसा क्या था जो कि I would say कि ज्यादा खाना पसंद करते थे? That's what I understand as a food lover. So you were
yeah. So basically, I'm a non-veg lover right from childhood. So everything in non-veg, be it seafood, be it fish, be it meat, be it poultry, and even bakery products, I used to love. And people say somebody has a sweet tooth, but I think all my teeth are sweet. So I have that affinity for sweet. Now, of course, after attaining a certain age, we have to limit from health perspective and other priorities. So, but then I still have those crave for the sweet. So that is my affinity and inclination towards food. And one more criteria I would not like to forget. Like in my childhood, mom used to ail a lot. She used to fall sick very frequently. So in an aid to just help her out, just to support her in a way. Even though I was very young that time, so कुछ नहीं तो छोटा मोटा काम कर दो, आलू छील दूं, कुछ धो लूं, बर्तन धो लूं. So that was kind of support I was trying to extend just to make her feel really, just to support her. So that is how it all began. Very small baby steps, and with the inspiration of my dad, it began.
Were you resistant?
Pardon?
Were you resistant that time? Not doing?
No, not at all. I was open. And initially I thought, because usually, unfortunately, in Indian society, a boy going to a kitchen is not appreciated much. ये तो लड़कों का काम है. That is what is being perceived, typically. But then this taboo was removed at the very outset by my dad. There's nothing called a boy's job or a girl's job. Anybody, you go to foreign countries, see everybody is supposed to do everything of their own. To the extent if it is polishing your shoes or cleaning the washroom or whatever it could be. So one has to be open, and you have to be self-dependent rather than depending on somebody else, right? So this is how it all, small little inspirations that piled up eventually. And
I think today's scenario, it is coming up very openly, and people are also open to really, because these things are not gender specific for sure. These are life skills.
True.
And I'm glad that, because when I look back, we started our the college and everything we did together. So if I remember my school and college days around me, I have seen a lot of men not doing or not interested to do that. यही था कि ये लड़कियों का काम है. And I'm really glad that from that, time, then your family environment was totally different, and your father had such a I think his seed that he has sowed um, has really shaped up in a very different way today. Yeah. Okay. So as you said that, okay, so iski baat hogi, like what were your favorite food and baking and all that you said. What is that one thing that you started experimenting with when it comes to cooking?
Okay, if
Remember
I
your first thing
the
that you
first attempt, the first attempt, I'll tell you. Those days in my childhood, Maggie was launched newly. Those small little packets. Now we have all jumbo packs, family packs, whatever. Those days, those single packs. And if I recall it correctly, there was capsica flavor, there was chicken flavor, and there was a vegetable flavor. So Daddy got all the three, and he said, "Which one would you like to try with? To start with, rather." So obviously, I picked up the chicken one. So that was my first experiment ever in terms of cooking. He said, "You will do it. I'll just watch, lest from the precautionary point of view, uh, that you must not burn yourself or something like that." So I did it, and he just encouraged me, and he gave me that confidence and boost that you can do it, and that is how I started, and I was able to do it well. I think so. Okay, and when he tasted it, he went straight to mom and said, your son has been qualified now to go to the kitchen." And that was such a compliment and kind of an award for me that day. The first ever I tried something new, but then this is uh, appreciated by none other than my dad, who is a very critic that he usually does not appreciate until and unless it is that good. So that was a very good encouragement for me to start with, and that's how it all began.
Okay. And what age you were in at that point of time when you tried this, your first Maggie experience?
Maggie would be in seventh standard,
Oh,
around 12, 13 years.
12, 13, yeah, that's quite young you were, I must say. उस time में तो what I remember कि boys लोगों को kitchen में घुसने भी नहीं दिया जाता था, I guess. Even not to handle any fire or gas, stuff like that.
Right.
Okay. And so that Maggie was a very, ready-made thing. Anything that you have actually tried after that, the first thing with all the ingredient, like the Indian cooking style, and you have done the whole process. Do you remember?
It actually happened step by step because, as I said before, I started helping my mom. So it started with helping her with small little chores, maybe sometimes grinding the masala in the grinder, or maybe मैं थोड़ा सा rest करके आ रही हूँ, just see that the masala doesn't get burnt.
Okay,
So
that's
just managing that part. So by bits and pieces, I learned initially. And then one instance I remember, parents had to accompany another family friend of ours who had somebody passing away in the family. So parents went to their home and they came very late. So obviously they had not cooked for the day. I took an initiative. I made one complete meal, complete vegetarian meal, because there was a deceasement in the nearby extended family. So obviously non-veg was not a good gesture. So I remember I cooked dal, rice, and some vegetable. So and I kept it ready by the time they came a little late. So the moment I came and served that on the table, they were a little zapped. Like, is it you who made it? I said, yes, I just tried. And they was like, they could not believe it, that I could have done it. So that was a very good feeling that I could get that day. That okay, it could be a surprise for them, but then and when they tasted it, they said, "Oh, this is beyond our expectation." So
yeah.
these are small little steps, that help me boost my confidence. That yes, I too can do it. Okay, so that's what I have mentioned since I write blogs now. In my introductory page itself, I mentioned there's nothing, and cooking is not that big a deal as people perceive it to be. अरे इतना बड़ा काम कौन करेगा, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. If you put a little bit of effort and keeping your health perspective also, it's a good initiative and worth doing it rather than going and eating outside.
Very true. So, when you, as you said that whenever somebody, these people were appreciating your dad, started from your dad appreciating, and then you felt very proud and great about the feeling was great. And then this one, that the complete meal that you served, and these people really were so amazed and surprised that is it you? So these experiences, I'm sure there will be a lot of experiences you might have experienced in bits and pieces when you were trying something in those days. How did these experience? How did it shape your perspective on food, maybe on different other aspects? Because I think when you said that you started from the seventh grade, so maybe, considering the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, you might have got a lot of experiences like that. How did this experience shaped your confidence? No doubt you were confident about what you were making, but how did this confidence helped you in other aspect of your life as well? How did it shape you, your personality or your persona? Um,
That's indeed a very interesting and relevant question when it comes to clarity and focus. As a background that we have been discussing today, see, I'll tell you what. When you try to cook something, you have to plan it well. Then you have to source all the ingredients. You have to make sure all the things that you require are properly organized. They are prepared. Okay, if it is about masala, it has to be peeled, it has to be ground, kept ready. You cannot start the cooking and then start making the masala, right? So what I'm trying to say is you have to organize, you have to plan, you have to source, you have to organize, and then start the process.
Exactly.
And while the process is on, still you have to be vigilant that whatever time, whatever temperature, whatever is required for the process to complete, it has to be accurate. So that eye for details and the accuracy perspective that also develops. Okay, so in a process, if I transcribe this entire process of cooking into a professional life,
Okay.
same applies. What I see. See, if you start a project, professionally, we have to plan well, because failing to plan is planning to failure, right? So we have to plan it well.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So first you have to plan well. We have to source whatever we require for the project, be it funds, be it resources, other things. So that has to be sourced first, and then we have to put things in the right perspective, in the right place, and only then we can start a project if we are aiming to get a success out of it within a stipulated timeline. Okay, so this is very much relevant what I relate to. So it is not just about learning cooking or survival skills, but that has a implication on our thought process altogether. वो बोलते हैं ना, programming हो गया है. So you get programmed accordingly, even for other aspects of life.
So, which means like it has gone to your muscle memory, I would say. Will that be correct to say?
True that.
Because when you do it day on day basis, and you start thinking in that way, it's like you create new neurons for that. Because I am from NLP, so I'm just trying to relate to that. So
Right.
neuro-linguistic programming. So you create new neurons which take that information and they transmit it to other neurons, and that's how the whole all the billion trillion cells that we have in our body, they also learn from that when you do it. So this is one of the lessons I think people, those who are listening, and particularly people, those who think, irrespective of all the genders, when you prepare something, and this is considered to be a life skill, as Satyajit says, and it is so true. So when you are actually cooking some recipe and all that thing that goes on step by step, from planning to sourcing the ingredient to executing that and keeping an eye to detail and all those stuff, you are actually nurturing your neurons to think in that way. And that's one of the lessons that when your body your mind takes this information and it starts tuning its own muscles, you also become capable for life as well. The other aspects of life that you may encounter, and you may need that ability to handle those situations. So coming back to Satyajit, your story. So tell us about your Gurgaon days, when I know that those were your bachelor days in Gurgaon. So so you were alone, staying alone, or you were actually staying with your friends? And uh, how was your days there in terms of your, you know, Masterchef in the making, or tell us something about how those days shaped up who you are today.
Okay. So if I look back at my days in Gurgaon, yes, as you rightly said, I was a bachelor that time, and I preferred staying alone because my way of living, and bit cleanliness freak. So
Okay.
you understand that.
I know.
So I preferred staying alone. And during those days, like one time I used to have in the office itself, because there was a good facility available there for lunch. And evening I used to go out and have dinner every single day.
Okay.
So eventually I ended up suffering from jaundice.
Oh.
And bilirubin level was so high that the doctor allowed me that बेटा तुमको अगर जिंदा रहना है दाल चावल उबाल के खाओ लेकिन घर पे ही खाना है.
Mhm. I
Otherwise,
think Delhi is famous for this particularly because I have been in Delhi for quite many years. I
mhm.
think jaundice is quite very obvious there. That's what I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, I mean, eating every single day outside was not a good habit. I mean, one time was in the canteen, but then still that is again outside food, right? Some vendor used to cook and serve. And evening, eventually, I used to go to a restaurant or a dhaba, whatever, as per my whims and fancies. So that could not go a long way because I suffered. So that's how again those seeds that were sown started germinating,
Hmm.
and keeping the health conditions in mind. Initially, it was all stew and boiled vegetables and all that. But उबला हुआ कितना खा सकता है आदमी कितना दिन खा सकता है? So there actually began the experimentation and trying to something little different, just to cater to your taste buds.
So, Satyajit, थोड़ा सा डिटेल में जाते हैं because when you're in Gurgaon, where like the kitchen was all set up, or you started setting up the kitchen?
Yes, I started setting up later once I suffered. So
अच्छा.
I had a refrigerator, no doubt, but then other things were not much. So I just bought a complete kitchen set, and started cooking. Bachelor को कितना चाहिए होता है?
Hmm.
That much I had.
Mhm.
So started shopping my vegetables and all cereals and everything that I required, some spices, basic ones. So I would give you a small example.
Hmm.
Office से आया, bag dump किया, just to freshen up quick, enter the kitchen, soak some rice and dal.
Hmm.
Okay, and the first step is done. So go freshen up, take a shower, come back. By the time the rice and dal is soaked, chop some vegetables, put them in a cooker, put some spice, some turmeric, little salt,
Hmm.
cook it up. And at the end, if you want to give it a tadka, little bit of desi ghee.
Hmm.
And one good, one pot meal is ready for you. I mean, I'm just sharing it because it is as simple as that.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
one wants to be healthy and at the same time not spend much time in the kitchen, because once you're back from office, it will not be very encouraging for everyone that already you're tired physically, mentally. So getting into the kitchen and creating something that too for your own self it's not encouraging always. At times I also used to feel very lethargic कि क्या यार अपने लिए फिर कौन खाना बनाए, ठीक है मैगी बनाए खा लेते हैं, which is not, again not a healthy option. Okay, so that is how it started actually. My experimentation began in Gurgaon. So then I gradually, my health also got better. So started non-veg as well. And it was a 5 days working culture. So weekends, inevitably friends used to come home. Why? Because I used to carry my dabba for lunch. And
So they tasted it.
yeah, and the tragic part was I never used to have my dabba. It was all like snatched away. Others used to
Oh.
give me their dabba, and my dabba used to be get distributed to others.
Oh.
So, and eventually, all weekends were inevitably a party day at my flat. So friends used to come, and whatever I cooked, they used to relish. They used to go gaga about it. Satyajit ऐसा बनाता है, क्या बनाया था, and this and that. Which I thought they were probably just uh, just appreciating me for just like that, because I'm inviting them
You
every.
thought they are exaggerating, but otherwise.
Yeah, they're just flattering, exaggerating, whatever you might say.
Hmm.
But eventually, one fine day I realized ऐसा तो नहीं कि हर दिन कोई आपको जबरदस्ती flatter कर रहा है, नहीं हो सकता. There has to be some essence in it. Okay, so one fine day I caught a hold of a colleague of mine. अरे तू सच्ची बता, तेरे को सही में अच्छा लगता है, तू बस ऐसे ही फेंकता है मेरे को.
अच्छा.
नहीं यार ऐसा नहीं है. I mean, who gave you this wrong idea that you do not cook well? बोला अच्छा अगर ऐसा है तो फिर अच्छी बात है. So then it just continued as this invitation process. Later on, it so happened people started barging in even without invitation, self-invitation. Okay,
Okay.
it was good time for me as well because I was a bachelor, three birds. So like having people together, and and that is one thing that I eventually realized, that rather than cooking and having it myself, if I'm able to serve something good, and if people are getting satisfied, that used to give me a very different level of satisfaction and happiness from within.
Mm-hmm.
That is something I realized which was positive. Okay, so this continued, not knowing that these were like my stepping stones that were being laid for preparing me for the Masterchef. Okay, then I got married and shifted to Lucknow, and then this Masterchef audition came up.
Okay, so before we get into that, the most wanted story of the whole MasterChef journey, थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे let me pause. So you said that particularly the narrative that goes among people around who doesn't love cooking, because that's a different story that you were finding that satisfaction uh, in cooking. But otherwise, that narrative that you said, just rightly you said that अपने लिए कौन बनाता है. So this is one of the narrative that I have also experienced among many women and girl ladies and men out there. What do you think about that? How can they really challenge this thought so that they can really do not depend on Zomatos and Swiggies? At least they should have 80% of their, good healthy meal rather than challenging their own health, absolutely depending on Swiggy and outside food, as we say. Again, even if your neighbor is cooking, it is still an outside food. We don't know how they cook and how does it suit. Will it suit you? So those things are there, because I am asking this question because I've seen that when I was in US, young girls who had been there and it was their first job and they were in cloud nine, and when they were 95% relying on packaged food, and they landed up with a lot of liver issues and all those stuff. And that's what the narrative was कि अपने लिए कौन बनाता है. What do you think? Any certain message or anything that you went through, or you can advise or you can suggest to youngster when they are so hustling about their success, but the most underrated thing is taking care of health or maybe cooking. Kitchen ऐसा लगता है कि time waste है. That's one of the narrative also that goes, and I'm sure you would agree with that as well. इसके बारे में क्या कहना है? What do you think?
Prem sir, what the point you have put forward is actually very relevant, and typically with the upcoming generations, the concept about cooking has taken a different tangent altogether.
Yeah.
Why I'm saying so, because when I look at the Gen Z, okay, so for them cooking is like no way. In that time, I mean, that's the only excuse they give, that they're busy with so many different things which are more productive than spending and rather wasting time in the kitchen. But I will tell you one thing, maybe it would sound like an old school guy, but then we have learned it like, if your health is lost, everything is lost. Rest previous prefixes everyone knows. So if you are not having a good health, but you have ample amount of wealth, so I think somebody who has gone through this would realize this better. Even if you have the entire world in your hand, but if you do not possess a good health, or the health that doesn't support you, do your daily course on time, or maybe the way you want to do, I think it's absolutely a waste, and the most dissatisfying and discouraging factor, right? So in order to keep this health well, I mean, health is the only property that we have, and God has given us one life, so we are responsible of taking care of it to the best we can. And when we talk about maintaining it, one thing I would say, nothing can be better than home cooked food, because we know what amount of hygiene has gone into it.
Yeah.
What is the age of those ingredients that we are using, and overall the content that we put, be it sugar, be it fat content, whatever. It's as per our requirement, as per our consciousness about health. Correct. When the same food we buy from outside, we have no control or vigilance upon what care has been taken.
Yeah.
Be it FSSI registered or certified, whatever we call it. But still, you cannot assure that because you haven't seen it with your own eyes. Okay, that is one thing. Coming to the packaged foods, I would absolutely, discourage people from having packaged food. Reason being, anything that is packaged, anything, definitely has some or other preservative in it.
Conservative, yeah.
For the simple reason, you being a zoology honors student, you would know it better. Anything we seal it, anything organic, we seal it and put it in a shelf. How much do you think it will survive?
Yeah,
How
but then one thing, Satyajit, sorry to interrupt here because ये सबको पता, even Gen Z also knows it, right? The tragedy is even if they know it, still is it still they are not open to try something as simple as home cooked food. So where do you think is the resistance happening, or who is resistant? Is it the parents, us, who has created this mahol of that they are not getting it, or it is an acquired behavior of them that they have acquired it, or is it? I don't know who are the what are the factors, or who are the real culprit. I would, if I would say, and how do we break that pattern? Because you're having kids, I'm having, so they're all teenagers now. They're going to go to college, and after a couple of years, they will be on their own. So that is one thing. Being a parent, I'm also getting scary. So, what do you think about this?
See, one thing I
How do
can
we change the pattern?
yeah, one thing I can say for sure, no parent would teach a wrong thing to their kids. Right. So when it comes to health perspective, I'm sure no parent would encourage their kids to be falling into a pattern that would lead them into a wrong health condition, or which would deteriorate their health in the long run. So basics like how I learned it from my parents, with their inspiration, in bits and pieces from my mom. I'm sure we as parents bear the responsibility to plant those seeds in our children's life, because they also need to learn from somewhere, because the environment that we're living in, the peers that they're interacting with, it's in a very different tangent, so it has become a status symbol, right? So it's more of going and having junk food with their friends or colleagues outside,
Yes.
rather than investing just half an hour, 45 minutes, and creating their own health, right?
Yes.
So this concept has to be drilled down in their minds at a tender age itself. So once they go out and they're on their own, they'll still try to, if not 100%, at least try to manage it as much as they could. Okay,
Yeah.
there are errands. Every time is not the same. Maybe there are times even if I'm too tired or something, even I resort to something readily available. But that should not be a regular trend. That's what I'm trying to say. It cannot be a daily affair.
Yeah, it has become a weekend culture, Satyajit, because if you see, even the kids are also thinking in that weekend culture that abhi Friday hai, so let's have something from outside. Because I see, being in Hyderabad, I see around this culture around where I stay, and the other areas also. And so Friday to pakka se bahar khana, Saturday ko bhi bahar khana, and maybe Sunday, okay, khichdi. So you go for this 2 day here and there junk and whatever. Uh, because again, when you go out, still you can be conscious enough to choose the right food. That can also be one of the factors. But why did I actually, discussed about the parent, the perspective of parent? Because even in this weekend culture, parents also, they fall for this outside food on Fridays and Saturdays. And obviously, when you, as a parent, someone does it, of the kids, they get it like that, right? So it has become a very weekend culture, as I said, and breaking the pattern is becoming a big challenge when it comes to make them understand that kitchen mein jao or dal chawal bana ke khao. This is something is becoming very challenging, and I'm sure people they are getting it. I think I'm so happy that this year has been declared as a millet year, year of millets. So people are getting it, even the children are also getting it, but then still, the percentage is quite low.
See, we are one generation who used to obey our parents also, and now we have to obey our kids as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
true.
think you agree with that, right? So if the kids are craving for something, every time you cannot even say no. I'm not against that, but then what I'm trying to figure it out here is it should not be a regular affair.
Regular thing.
Yeah, once in a while, fine, go and satisfy that crave as well. Aaj KFC jana hai, please go, and we will also have to accompany, obviously. But then, if you realize the amount of salt content and the amount of fat content that goes in, if it becomes a daily affair, imagine how detrimental it could be to our health,
Yeah.
right? So that is what is the point.
True. So, Satyajit, coming back to your story, so after you got married, you went to Lucknow, and then how did that first seed of Masterchef came into your picture? How did all that journey started? And so you went to, I think your work took to Lucknow, right? That's what. Yeah. So can you just share the whole story of?
Okay, I got a new job offer, and that took me to Lucknow.
Hmm.
And I've been working there. And one fine day, I saw this ad which came up on the television as well as on the hoardings that MasterChef is happening.
Mhm.
And auditions के लिए एक number दिया था. So I just coolly picked up my mobile and got myself registered. And the instruction was that you have to cook something from home and bring it for the audition. I
Okay.
said simple,
Acha.
hai. Yeah. I said simple, hai. Let's give it a shot. So with that intent, it was just happening behind where I was staying. There was a school, and so I just woke up early in the morning, made my dish, went with a very good enthusiasm. But the moment I landed at that school campus, I was frustrated because it was in the month of June, scorching sun, and Lucknow, is like very, very hot climate. So when I saw the crowd there, it was like,
Huge.
I think nothing is happening. It's
Mhm.
a weekend, go back home. जो
Mhm.
बनाया उसको खाओ, सो
Mhm.
जाओ, relax. It's
By
not
the way,
happening.
what did you make that day? Which was your first recipe that you?
My dish, what I made was chicken chili with tomato salsa. That was a combination of Chinese and Mexican that I made. Sorry, Italian. Chinese and Italian that I
And
made.
how did you take it in a hot casserole kind of a thing?
No, we were told that there will be a microwave and other gadgets to heat your food, and you just
Acha.
have to carry your dishes well
Uh-huh.
so that it can be presented there. So, I mean, however warm you take it, the queue there was at least it would take an hour to get
Yeah,
you
I was trying to
to
understand that because it was a huge crowd, and how did you take it and how did you present it? Because the by then वो recipe ठंडा हो चुका होगा, the presentation also I didn't know. I don't know how did you do all that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so you have to carry your own stuff, and they did provide gadgets over there,
Acha.
which you can warm up your food and make some presentation. They provided us some platforms as well. So, but there was a long queue, first of all. Second, the registration process was like a booklet. There's a contract that you have to sign,
Mhm.
and it took a lot of time, in fact. And
Okay.
then, since it was happening in a school, so the classrooms were used as the audition center,
Mhm.
and like each classroom was one round of audition, and the next classroom was the waiting room, and the following likewise. So I initially presented my dish and then went to the waiting room. uh, Lady comes in and announces the name. I said, ठीक है, अभी सिलेक्शन वाले नाम अनाउंस हो रहे हैं, मेरा नाम नहीं था. So then she announced that no, जिनका नाम हमने लिया, you can leave for the day, we'll get back to you.
Okay, so
So
those were
and,
elimination.
so that carried me to the next audition room. So ऐसा चलता गया, and that day came to an end, like evening हो गया, and I continued giving auditions through the day.
Mhm.
So I mean that was a proper drill down session from the basics about understanding of food, the concept, why I made this dish, not something else, the presentation perspective, and everything in detail. And how did I learn, as you're asking me today, how did I learn? What were the initial steps, baby steps, and how did I reach here? So that
Mhm.
entire background they wanted to check in depth. So that consumed the entire day. So I was happy. And towards the end of the day, they took some video bites as well. So I was happy that okay, I'm captured. कहीं ना कहीं वो ट्रेलर आता है ना स्टार्टिंग डे में,
Uh-huh.
वन में वहां तो आ जाऊंगा.
Uh-huh.
Went back home. So the moment I reached home, I received a call that congratulations, have been selected for the second day of auditions, and
Okay.
that was really exciting, which I never expected.
Mhm.
Yes, I was a chef who used to cook in front of a wall. Kitchens में Indian kitchens के सामने wall होता है. There's no audience. There's nobody like watching over you. There's no camera capturing you. There's
Right.
no floodlight on your face. So not used to. So it was just a simple home chef who went to present his dish, and it just got selected.
Mhm.
So I was very excited. So second day also I appeared for the auditions, which was in another venue,
Mhm.
and that day it was like a complete setup, as you see on the sets of MasterChef.
Mhm.
And but that day was really really tough because the kind of challenges that came across was like, oof, out of the box. So that's what they say, no? आंच जो बढ़ाते हैं simmer
आज बढ़ाना.
2 and 3, and that was a real experience कि आंच कैसे बढ़ाया जाता है pressure test का. And that was a very good experience, which I would say took me to another level of thinking, because till then I never realized that I probably have these skills inherent in me. Okay, because why I'm saying this, the second day auditions, the people who qualified for the second day were just 40 in numbers, 40, out of around 16,000 candidates who appeared on the first day. So that was the level of selection that happened. And from that 40, they said they would select 12. But eventually, after a month, when the actually call came for appearing in Mumbai, was only 6. So you can imagine the percentage, 6 out of 16,000. So that day, it made me realize, to rethink rather, to retrospect and think there's something, some X factor for which I've been selected. So that is, I'm not sharing this to boast of myself, but then why I'm sharing is to encourage others that when you, that self-realization, the fact that you know, that is very important.
Very
It's not only for
important.
cooking, it's not only from cooking, but the clarity and focus that we are discussing today. So this is an insight that I got, that I need to know that I know. तो रिलेशन मुझे मास्टर शेफ ने दिलाया कि ओके कुछ तो है भाई तेरे में कि you can do it.
हाँ, so सत्यजीत, उसमें अगर वो प्रेशर नहीं होता, then you would not know what you knew, right?
Absolutely not. For example, I'll give you a small example to make you realize that.
Yeah.
You must have, you being a mother also, even if you do not have, a passion for cooking, you definitely try to cook something nice for your kids, isn't it? So imagine any kind of a dessert or a sweet dish that you are preparing, and suddenly you are given something, some ingredient which is like boom out of the box, and you are asked to make that. Guess what? I was given I was given bitter gourd to make a dessert out of it, and imagine what would be my stake that point in time. I was like, मैं तो गया. That is the first.
It's a personality makeover, absolutely altogether, you know.
True.
करेला का जो character है, you have to absolutely upside down. You need to change the whole personality and the identity of that particular.
So one example I'm trying to quote, that they try to put you under
that pressure,
just to see that how you at least make an effort to overcome that challenge.
Yeah.
And likewise, there was another challenge which was given to me, a list of ingredients, which was very evident that it had all the items that would lead to baking. Flour, essence, baking powder, things like that, sugar. So what did you think more than cooking, than baking? And at the end, while I'm entering the kitchen, the chef, whispers in my ear that the entire kitchen is yours, but you'll not be allowed the oven. So these kind of limitations that try to put in your test, just to see how you overcome, even if you're put into a challenge and the main ingredient is pulled off. How do you overcome that? That is what they actually want to test you for. And if you're able to do it well, then you are game.
Yeah.
Right. So this is what actually led me to realize that, okay, it's not just about cooking or cooking in front of a wall, but it's about basically thinking differently, how to treat that particular ingredient in a different way. So that innovation and that creativity is what they're looking at. Okay.
I
and
think
that
changing
is
the perception altogether differently and looking at things in a different way, so that you can, that's what you might have
exactly
the process.
right. Because till then, whatever I did was जो भी मैंने सीखा था, कुछ मम्मी से, कुछ teachers से, so I knew what has to be done. But here you did not know what has to be done. You have to really create it, and it's absolutely your own creation, your innovation, your creativity. So that is where it started, clicking to me that, okay, there could be a lot that can be done. It's not just following a recipe. Okay, so that is what was the foundation step towards being a chef, I would say.
Yeah. So Satyajit, एक question आ रहा है मेरे दिमाग में. What do you think? What could be the reason that helped you to become creative in that point? I mean, if you just look at your past, as you said that I learned from this, your mom, you learned from your mom, your dad. This whatever your family environment was in terms of cooking, and you're born and brought up, your conditioning, everything. So you're able to do it, right? You're able to create that innovation for you. You were able to think differently. What could be the reason for which you think that you were able to do?
That again takes me back to the basics. Again, an inspiration from my dad, हार नहीं मानने का. Because once it so happened that I was supposed to join in a debate or a speech competition, And I just went to my dad and I said, I cannot do it.
Hmm.
So daddy just asked me one thing, what did you do that you are saying that you cannot do it?
Hmm.
So I was unable to answer. He said, you have got the topic? I said, yes. I said, then he asked me whether you have written down something on it. Have you tried to, explore something on it? I said, no. आपने किया ही क्या है जो आपने हार मान लिया? See, without getting onto the ground,
How did you know?
करने से पहले आप कैसे हार मान सकते हो?
Hmm. That's a coaching question, Satyajit.
Yes. So that inspiration. See, today even I remember it as fresh as
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
That has helped me for life.
Hmm.
Without trying, without giving it the best that we can, you must not, you must not accept the defeat. That is
Hmm.
what is the learning.
Hmm.
When it comes to not only cooking, for anything, any perspective of life,
Hmm.
without trying, you giving your best, you should not ever try say that I cannot do it, or maybe I cannot excel in this. Okay, always give it a shot.
Hmm.
नहीं होगा तो ठीक है, at best क्या होगा, नहीं होगा.
Hmm.
It should not be like मैं try ही नहीं किया, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि मेरे से नहीं होगा.
Hmm. So kind of concluding before the conclusion, that should not happen.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So how many days you were there in Lucknow for this competition, or how was your journey from there moving forward?
Lucknow was a 2 days audition, but then followed by the Mumbai auditions were pretty long. It
Acha.
was for months, yeah, because the shootings were happening and step by step it went on.
Hmm.
So I kept on qualifying further and further, which again had a direct relation because I was on a private job,
Hmm.
right? So taking that long a leave from a private organization was not allowed, and for something related to a passion. So it posed a challenge before me, which was a biggest one at that point in time because I had to decide between my career and my passion. So
Hmm.
I'd like to explain it a bit further. Like when this first intimation came to me that I've been selected even in the second day of auditions, and I've been invited to join the Masterchef competition in Mumbai. I mean, you won't be able to imagine the kind of happiness that came to my mind. But at the same time, I was not happy for the very reason that my organization had a merger kind of a scenario that point in time, and a new organization was coming up. And being in a part of HR and admin, the responsibilities were very high.
Hmm.
So at that point in time, taking a leave and that too a long leave, obviously nobody would, grant that leave.
Yeah.
So I knew that I won't be able to make it, but still I took courage and went to my boss, saying that, see, boss, I've been selected for this thing. He just looked at me.
Hmm.
But Satyajit, I hope you know your responsibilities. I said, I do. So he said, you have to decide
Hmm.
whether you want to pursue a career or your passion.
Hmm.
And I had no second words or thoughts to it. I just stepped back and went back to my seat.
Hmm.
Nonetheless, my colleagues and other people they came and congratulated me, and बात तो फैल गई फटाक से कि अपना एक बंदा सिलेक्ट हो गया है. So they were more excited than me. And then they said, Satyajit, अभी तुम एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम करो, कितने लोग तुमको जानते हैं? One of my colleagues told me. But if you happen to get through and crack this competition, imagine the number of people that would know you. It's not about the publicity, but then the kind of creativity that we know you have.
Hmm.
Imagine the target audience that you would have would be of help to you, and in the vice versa, in the other way around, you also would be able to help them out.
True.
So that made me to rethink. But then when I went back home, I was perplexed and I gave it a thought with the kind of family responsibilities I had, and I said no. At this juncture, I cannot risk my job for my passion. Okay, I will sacrifice.
Hmm.
Okay, so with a very heavy heart, I wrote back to them, the Star Plus people, that I'm so glad that I'm one of those lucky ones who got selected for this competition. But then keeping my responsibilities of the organizations, which I am currently shouldering, I won't be able to join in for this. But as a courtesy, मैंने लिख दिया कि however, given a chance down the line, I would be more than happy to join in. And I sent that email, and I never expected a response from them. For the very reason that there have been like hundreds of candidates after me also. Why should they even respond to me? Right. But to my utter surprise, I received a response to that on probably third or fourth day. That what if we ask you to come and join us after 15 days? So I said, what is this? What is it taking me at?
The
So
calling.
Yeah, so that day I took courage. I took a printout of that email. I went to my boss again. I said, "But I didn't say anything. I just put that email in front of him." So he read the mail and then he looked at me. He said, "I think किस्मत तुमको कहीं और बुला रही है." And then he asked me, "तुम कितने दिन की छुट्टी चाहिए?" मतलब बस when he asked me this question, I had courage. बस मैं मुंबई जाऊंगा 7 दिन वहां पे अटेंड करके आ जाऊंगा. I'll be happy that I went till Mumbai. Okay, that was the thought. I mean, look at it. So
Still underestimating yourself, your talent.
yeah, so he said, "चल एक हफ्ता ले ले. I'll somehow manage." So that was such a turning point in my life. I cannot forget. I was so thankful to him for supporting me at that juncture. And immediately I wrote back to them that, yes, I'm coming. And then I joined the competition. And then it just went on and on. And then that 7 days just flew like one day, And then I had to come back. So I called him back and said that, मैं आगे आगे यहाँ तक select हो गया हूँ. And my 7 days is also over. So you tell me what to do next. मुझे पता था तुम यही करोगे. Because I was so confident on you. So he was happy, and also, obviously he also had to answer to somebody. Said, "Chal, another 1 week, I will try to support you. Don't give up." So just continued, and ultimately, as destiny would have it, things got ahead, and finally I had to get into an elimination round, and that's how the story came. I won't say came to an end, but that was the beginning of a new chapter. So Masterchef just gave me an exposure to rethink about the talents that I have inherent, to think differently, to create things in a very different and out of the box way. And but that was just the foundation stone, or rather the beginning of a new journey. So
I think that was you took a decision to come back, right? For the whole MasterChef thing. I mean, that was very not a natural elimination. So I think you're
yeah, can say that, because see, I had to prioritize my job,
yeah.
and yeah, so you'd understand, because when I have a certain responsibilities of my family, I cannot jeopardize it for the sake of my passion alone. So things had to be, molded that way, and I had to come back.
In this juncture, Satyajit, I would like to ask you one thing. So, people, those who would be in certain scenario that you were in, right? A job and a passion, and that person would be having the dilemma of a very strong calling of that passion. What would you give a advice to that particular person, so that I mean, I just wanted to explore the possibility of that passion becoming profession. Because when you said about this master chef and the school, I think from the same school, there's a lady called Pankaj, chef.
Yeah, so
She
Pankaj
also,
Bhadoria.
so she also became the winner, and she was a teacher earlier.
Correct.
I know that everybody's journey and roles and responsibilities are different, but what would you like to say to those people who wants to become take the journey of the passion and make it their profession, in that juncture, like you took a responsibility to come back and join your and you also pursued your passion in a different way. What about those people who want to make that passion as a profession? How do you like to suggest and advise them?
Okay, out of my personal experience, I would share that one has to be wise in making decisions, because today, if we decide something, you should not regret about it. Going forward, that, okay, शायद मैं ऐसा नहीं करता तो शायद ऐसा नहीं होता. That regret should never haunt you, right? My decision, what I made, is never a regretful one, because, as I mentioned before, that it was the beginning of a new journey. And you see, after that, I actually started my journey of MasterChef. It's not about that show. It's about the MasterChef in real life. Okay. Plus, it just happened that I have become a weekender chef, because Monday through Friday I am busy in the office, working for my organization. But then weekends is in my hand. How I want to utilize it, how I want to take forward my passion in whatever level I want to. That is how it all started, and eventually, as I said, I was made to realize already that I have something different, to think differently and create differently. So I started doing different things, not just cooking something that is already there. So this actually allowed me to recreate things and do it in a different level. And then again, getting acceptance from the target audience, that is again important because it could be an experiment from my end. What if the outcome is not acceptable by the audience? So this
You
was
got
another.
that validation as well.
Correct. So that validation was none other than my family members, and I'm glad to have two daughters, blessed with two daughters who are the real critical, evaluators, who do not, who are very, very prompt and they're very honest. Okay, if there's something wrong, they would say it on the face. They'll not try to cover up. Ki Papa ko bura lagega. They always give me an honest feedback. So once I do something new, I try to get it tasted. So that is how it started. Okay, so that time they were also very young. So they used to get excited. Ki Friday weekend again. Now we are going to have something different from the same kitchen. Yeah, so that was another encouraging factor for me to be able to create something different and new for them. So this is how the journey continued, and then came another phase where I thought of starting a food blogging.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was another turning point, and I started visiting restaurants and hotels to review their menus and writing reviews on their.
So this happened in Lucknow or
Yeah, this became later when I moved to Indore,
okay, okay.
Madhya Pradesh. Yeah, so Indore again is a capital of street food, as it is known, widely acclaimed. So it all started there. I became a food blogger, and I was invited by many restaurants and hotels, even five-star hotels. So that was a good opportunity for me to explore further, and I could associate myself with a good bunch of bloggers as well over there, and it became a very very different environment. Okay, and that helped me also to personally learn a lot of things, and it was a win-win situation, right? So that is how it went further. So what I'm trying to say is, if we are deciding on something between profession and passion, it must be done diligently and should be done very wisely, because one decision could bounce back in our entire career, in our on our family, on our every perspective, financial perspective as well. So that decision, I would encourage everyone, if somebody is in a dilemma whether to pick up profession or passion. So one has to be very, very wise, evaluate all possible options, exploring, doing the SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and whatever is whatever the facts are, we have to accept the facts. Okay, so that way, so I have not given up my passion at all. Even till date, if you ask me, the passion is still on. Even if there are ups and downs, I do not find enough time, but still I take time out. And not only it's about continuing the passion, but cooking is something that works as a stress buster for me.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
if I'm
my
tensed, if
next
I'm
question was that only.
okay,
So before entering to this question, I would like to ask, like, have you not thought of passion, making passion your profession, the cooking skills or the chef skills that you have? Have you ever thought of it? जब Masterchef हो गया and you have achieved a lot of milestones there, and then after that also, you got a lot of invitation from five stars for reviewing their the whole thing, and then apart from that, you started writing blogs. I've seen a lot of small clips of videos that talks about your you have been receiving that award and all that stuff. So आपने कभी सोचा नहीं, have you not thought of that um, इसको भी I can think of as a profession, as a कुछ thoughts ever has come to you?
yes, what you said is absolutely right. I've given it a thought, but I also at the same time believe there's a right time for everything. Okay, I think that perfect time hasn't arrived yet, for which I am still balancing between my profession and passion over the weekends. I mean, passion on weekends and profession through the weekdays. So I'm just waiting for the right time, preparing myself. As I said, planning, sourcing, and then starting the project. So probably I'm in the second phase now. So implementation is yet to come.
So I think this particular MasterChef platform has given that fuel, and it was a booster for you to go to this phase and think about this particular passion that was innate in you. It was in a dormant state. Now it is in the form of sprouting and germinating, as you had shared initially in the discussion. So now I think it is for the world, it is in the germination state, and then it has to become a tree, and it is in the process of making it, I guess.
That's right.
Great. So in this whole story, whatever has you have achieved till date, कभी भी ऐसा हुआ है सत्यजीत की कभी डर लगा हो, because ये एक ऐसी चीज है, fear is such a situation that at times it gives you a lot of self doubt and a lot of situations that I'm sure ये पूरा मास्टर शेफ का जो सीजन था and all that, and maybe after that also, any time that the fear was very prominent and very significant, and how did you overcome that? ऐसा कुछ हुआ है भी है, या I mean the way you like to answer this?
See, I would frankly say this, that whenever we are in a competition, let it be a running race or be it a master chef, whenever we have competition, we are not alone, right? We have a lot of competitors along. So one fear factor will definitely be at the back of the mind, if not on a negative connotation, but that is definitely there. And the objective is to win. So that probably overcomes that fear. Okay, that I have to win. I'm here for a competition, and I have to give in my best, and I have to win. So it's all about how you think about it. Right? So अगर मैं किसी चीज में हाथ डालने से पहले ही सोच लिया कि मेरे से नहीं होगा, मैं वहीं पे हार गया already. I've already lost it. Correct. Instead, if I gear up myself and I give in my best and give it the best shot I could, probably the defeat is left way behind. To be the winner. And that's how it has proven. It has been proven through many of the achievements that I had in the due course, even after MasterChef. So that is what I gather out of the entire episode, is that one should not give up even without trying. So you should give it your best, be positive, and see what destiny has for you.
Awesome. And that's what I think you have picked up from your dad that you shared, right? The lessons that you have picked up.
Do that.
So
Yes.
coming back to the emotional part, as you said, this is my stress buster. So can you just, share and relate to how does it become your stress buster and how does it help? Because office se aane ke baad you feel like that, फिर कौन खाना बनाता है और all that, and the weekends it's not resting for you. You are still nurturing that passion within. So what is that motivation that really keeps that fire burning in and about, really working towards that passion? क्या कैसे emotion bust release होता है in context to that?
Okay, weekends. Once the weekends are around the corner, my kids are really expecting that there's something new and different that's going to happen from dad's kitchen, and suddenly the mom's kitchen becomes dad's kitchen.
I could sense that.
So that is the level of expectation that keeps me rolling into the kitchen on the weekends. And when something nice comes out, and I keep staring at my kids' face, if they're tasting my dish and the gleam that comes on their face, I think even MasterChef or any other reward that I have achieved so far could be higher than that. That satisfaction is par excellence. Okay, if they're satisfied, I see that gleam on their face, I feel satisfied. So that is what is my real motivation. I would publicly share that nothing could be beyond this.
True. Okay, अभी ये बहुत interesting सा question है. So ingredients, you are playing with the ingredients because you are a master chef, and I know that because till I know I started following Ayurveda, I was not understanding about the characteristic of each masalas, spices. So my question is around that. So what I feel and what I have sensed is each and every ingredient, they carry stories and a history of that. There's certain history of you to talk about jeera, dhania, and sauf, masala, all that. Which spice do you relate it the most as a human being?
Okay, that's a very interesting question indeed. Well, if I scroll through my spice box, I think more I could relate to is saffron.
Okay.
I would like to elucidate it a bit further. Why saffron? Because It's a very tiny little spice, bright and vibrant in color, very dormant if it is unused. But if it is put in milk or any other liquid, it starts disseminating its fragrance, its color, and the properties that it has to turn the entire picture of the dish. So that is where I am able to relate. I'm by nature, I'm shy, timid guy, but then there's a lot of potential there inside. So if I'm given the right environment, so I would definitely be able to give in the best what I could, what I have within, and try to change the entire environment that I'm in. So that's how I could relate to this particular spice.
And saffron is expensive.
No, I'm a very down to earth person, and I
Okay.
want to continue like that.
Okay, so we spoke a lot about your journey, from kitchen to Masterchef, and then moving forward also how you are actually nurturing that passion on weekends. How do you balance this both? Actually, being a corporate into HR, and then the passion. How do you balance these two? Do you face any challenge balancing these two roles? Because we play a lot of role, right? So being a professional and being a master chef of your own life, um, for the food, the love towards cooking, those stuff. How do you balance these two roles? And also, apart from these roles, there are also different roles that you are definitely would be playing. Um, how do you balance it?
That's a very practical question, Premsai, because once you're in a professional role, there are a lot of work pressure and
Yeah.
expectation out of you. So it's not easy. Let me share it. It's not at all easy. But then I firmly believe if you have real passion for something, you would somehow take time out for it. For example, if you are a fitness freak, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, आप चाहे लेट सोए हो, आप सुबह जाग ही जाओगे because you have to attend your gym or maybe take a stroll or a jogging stretch or whatever. So likewise, if I have a passion for cooking, come what may, I try to take time out. Not possible all the time, but majority of the time I'm able to make it out. So how it happens is I'll explain it in a different way. See, for example, all of us have 24 hours a day, right? So out of which probably 8 to 9 hours we dedicate for our professional journey.
Right.
So in that, in a way, it enhances our efficiency. If we are able to plug in our passion factor into that 24-hour slot, it'll in a other way around, it enhances our efficiency to be able to effectively utilize those 8.5 hours or 9 hours so that we efficiently complete that responsibility and then make ourselves free on time so that you can dedicate that time for the passion thing.
Okay.
So
In
otherwise,
that case, what do you exactly do, Satyajit? I mean, when you say that you can be efficient enough, so being into this professional role, do you do something so that you get more efficient towards your work? And I mean, is there any secret sauce?
well, I think just focusing on what you're expected to do and giving in your best, resourcing the right people at the right place, that is the key ingredient to be able to complete your task effectively and efficiently in a timely manner. So what I was trying to explain is if that 24 hours, I just have 24 hours like anybody else. So if I think of myself that, okay, I have the entire day to myself, probably that छोटा सा काम भी नहीं कर पाऊंगा मैं. कर लेंगे वो, it gets procrastinated. So instead, if I'm able to slot that 1 or 2 hours for my passion into that same 24 hours, I'll be able to finish off my work on time in an efficient manner so that I would be able to afford those 2 hours for my passion as well. So that is where your efficiency goes up. आप आराम से नहीं करोगे, आप efficiently करोगे फिर. And in turn, your work gets accomplished rather than procrastinating it for the next day.
Very true. So I think very conscious about your task and your focus and having clarity of when to do what. I think these all plays a very important role to really batch your task and cater to all that you want to do. That's what I got the insight from your answer.
Correct.
Yeah. Now moving to some fun-filled questions, Satyajit, and I am sure that you will really love answering this. you so these questions do not think too much. You have to just instantly answer dena hai. So the first question is one ingredient you can't live without in your kitchen.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Sweet tooth.
Yes, all of them.
All of them.
I've already mentioned that.
Okay. The second question is if ingredients could talk, which one would have the most interesting stories?
Saffron again?
After saffron? Because हम saffron की story सुन चुके हैं. After saffron कौन ज़्यादा बोलेगा?
Okay. You have already put a timeline that it's not to be thought over. For people to actually pick it up. There are lots coming up, in fact. Not just
any one or two. If ingredients could talk, which one would have the most interesting stories after saffron?
rice.
Okay, and what is that story is all about?
Because Sundays is to biryani for my family.
Acha, okay.
And biryanis won't be successful without rice. So if
that way
the ingredient starts speaking, the rice would boast that, okay, I'm the most sought after and the most important ingredient in Satyajit's kitchen.
I'm visualizing actually rice coming in and making a ramp walk now. You have made it that way. Okay. Now the third question, and so this fun-filled question, this third one is the final one. If your cooking utensils, they form a band, like band banate, then uska naam kya hota? What would they be called and who plays what?
As in who plays what?
Huh. As in who plays what? He band banate music ka, because I know that you also sing, you know. So band hai, or socho orchestra ka band hai, and all the instruments are the cooking utensils. So kaun kya play karta? So first name the utensils and who is going to play what.
Like I'm the only one in the kitchen, right? So who else would play that?
If your cooking utensils formed a band, utensils, kadai, spoon, cooking utensils, they form a band. तो कौन क्या प्ले करता? What would they be called? Band का नाम क्या होता? And who would play what?
Very interesting question at the same time. Okay. See, pressure cooker would play CT. Whistle bajata.
Yes.
Okay. And the ladles, they would play the drums.
Okay.
The wok would go upside down and become the drum.
Okay.
The tawa would become the jazz.
Tawa would become the what?
The jazz.
Jazz, okay.
And the spice boxes would become the maracas. Yeah. What else is left?
Okay, so tawa would become the drum, the spice boxes
would become the jazz.
Jazz, okay.
The kadai would turn upside down and become the drum.
Drum.
Pressure cooker would blow the whistle. The ladles would become the drumsticks.
And the name of the band would be?
The name of the band? Spice Band.
Spice Band. Satyajit's Spice Band.
Yes.
Okay. Now, coming to a question. Now, this question would help you maybe to, it is something which is, I call it as a vision question. You see, how would you like to answer this? What is your vision for merging these diverse aspects of your journey in your next steps moving forward?
See, as I said, I have already been through the planning phase. Now I'm in the sourcing phase, just trying to figure out what, when, where should be appropriate to take me further to the next step so as to start my project. So I'm amidst that right now. So because as I said, I have to balance out my other responsibilities in terms of my professional career, my family responsibilities, and other things that I'm expected to be delivering. So, it just cannot happen overnight. It takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah, that's why I'm just waiting for the right time and the right direction. And of course, I believe firmly that till the time things are ordained from above, I trust in God. So until and unless it is ordained from there, from His level, it does not start. Okay.
True, very true.
I'm
Yes.
just waiting and praying about it.
So I think something big is coming soon.
True that.
So Satyajit, moving to the last part of this podcast, and this is one of the question I love asking to all my guests is as we wrap up this very inspiring conversation, I am really curious to know about after this discussing about your journey because सारी चीजें अभी have it was fresh while you were discussing. From your our conversation, I took you to your school days, college days, your bachelor life, and then your Masterchef, and then post, and then also I asked you questions where you dwell upon the futuristic aspect of Satyajit, in becoming, and you spoke about that as well. So, after discussing your journey and experiences, what's your personal takeaway from this podcast, from this conversation? Did any realization surface or aspects of your journey come into light in a way, in a new way, I would say, from this conversation?
See, Prem, say one thing is very clear as your channel focuses upon clarity and focus. I think I get an insight now. Like I said that my first phase is completed. Now I'm in the second phase, sourcing things. But I think I have to zoom in better, a bit better now on clarity and focus as to what timeline should I set because time is running fast. It is ticking away. So I have to be focused and be more clearer as to by when should I be able to source my things well in place so that my I can launch into the third phase, the launching phase. So that is one takeaway for myself, my own self, out of this entire, because you have made me travel through my right from my childhood, through my adulthood, and then bachelorhood, and then my family time also. So it has been like wrapping up everything in one go. So I realized that a lot of time has already passed by. So it is high time that I need to be clear and focused so that I do not lose on my target, which I have perceived for myself. As you said it rightly, like many who are watching us might also be inspired out of it, that profession on and passion, it should be, it cannot be like two trails of the train line. Okay, it cannot go on forever. Okay, it's good that I'm able to balance, that is fine, but then it cannot go on forever. Okay, it has to go to a particular destination, and obviously as passion would take over for sure, but that has to be timeline now. So that's my takeaway from this entire conversation, and thanks to you for bringing that clarity and focus to me. Okay, so now I would work upon that, and the day I see that coming up, definitely you will not be the second person to realize that. I would definitely share that with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I would say that go and write that date. That would really, because when you start writing that date, it becomes conscious. And when it becomes conscious, it penetrates to your subconscious. And then your subconscious, the whole trillion cells would say tathastu. That's what the cells, each cell has their nucleus and it has its intelligence. So when you, as you are the chef, you know that when you give the right ingredient and the right temperature and the right environment, then it cooks. So by writing the date,
Even the time duration.
even the time
If it is
duration.
overcooked, if it is undercooked,
Absolutely. So when you give that ingredient with the date and with the time and everything, here and there, little bit, you are a master chef. But then it realizes, that's what has happened with my life as well. Whatever have I achieved in my this whatever this small life, this has helped me because I write a lot, and that's where actually this if you see this is the focus factor coaching journal really helps people to get clarity and focus. So they really plan their 3 month strategy, 6 month strategy, 9 month strategy, like that. So it is 365 days of feeding your focus. It is a coaching journal. Like as any coach would ask questions and you get clarity, this book is like that. It's like taking your coach for 12 months whenever you start from there. So I have not kept it year wise. कभी भी शुरू करो वहां से 12 महीना. It's like that. So I'm
That's
sure when you write that, ingredients would be, it will start falling in your container, and then you know how to cook. You're a master chef. What do I say? So thank you
fantastic.
so
It was
much.
really fantastic, really interesting, and thanks to you for everything. It has been a really nice evening, and I think this time what we have spent, uh, it's going to be very meaningful, not only for me, for all those who are going to watch us conversing.
Absolutely. And to all my viewers, to the Focus Factor community, to all my Focus Factor family, passion hai, so there is always a way to nurture, as Satyajit says, that you have 24 hours, but when you actually give intention to those 24 hours and you get to really batch everything, the tasks that you would like to do, the desired life that you want to live, you will find your own way. Just sit with it, and then your intelligence will really pop up. Your subconscious will start speaking to you. You are the person to listen and implement. That's it. So a lot of learning from this podcast. एक साथ सुनो या थोड़ा थोड़ा करके सुनो, but do listen to it. To all the men out there, passion को nurture किया जा सकता है. Cooking is something which is a life skill. It's not actually a gender based role. So a lot of learning from this, from a person who is I would say a package of talent. कुछ तो talent मुझे introduction के time पे पता चला, but then a chef, a master chef, HR, thorough HR professional, a singer, what not, and still he's able to balance everything. So that's the secret sauce of him. So watch the whole podcast, share it with others, and take what you can take from this podcast. जो भी आपको अच्छा लगे वहां से लीजिए and then implement it in your life. Thank you so much, Satyajit.
Thank you very much.
And I think the next podcast would be offline karte hain, when you have started executing you are into your third phase of your passion, where implementation you would start.
Eagerly looking forward.
Yeah, thank you so much.